Hi, I'm Matt,
Scott.
and we are trending towards viral. All right, welcome back to Trending Towards Viral. Today, we are talking about the controversy surrounding Taylor Swift's involvement in upcoming Super Bowl 58, aka a Taylor Swift affair where a football game will probably break out. Uh, Scott, I wanted to get your thoughts on the fact that a lot of the media attention seems to be diverted away from the actual two teams playing in the game, who, by the way, are the San Francisco 49ers and the Kansas City Chiefs, uh, to the fact that now it's a lot of the media attention focuses on Taylor Swift being there. I mean, as a longtime Niners fan and football fan, I mean, what are your thoughts?
My initial thought is par for the course. That's the thing about the Super Bowl is it really is dedicated to appealing towards the casual fan
Mm.
and the non-fans of the NFL. So I think a lot of storylines that get picked up around the Super Bowl tend to be those fringe issues that don't really have much to do with the X's and O's of the game.
I don't understand the need to sort of create or play up storylines. I mean, we're talking about the two best teams in the league, or at least teams that won out to the playoffs in order to get here. And it seems like the focus should be on maybe their journey to get to the game. Now, maybe that's an antiquated way of looking at things, because I love football, so much, and I know that you do as well. Um, that's an interesting point. I think that you bring up about casual fans because, I mean, think about every Super Bowl party you've ever gone to. How many people there are there because it's a social event that happens to also be, playing a football game maybe in the background.
Mhm. Going back to the Super Bowl sort of topic of Taylor Swift and the casual fan, I really do love that the 49ers are launching a coordinated sort of Super Bowl media frenzy around Nick Bosa getting held. Again, I think that that's a great strategy for the team to employ to help them both in the short term and the long term. If you're talking about it through the media frenzy that is the Super Bowl over and over and over, it's got to seep into the consciousness of the referees, right?
You would hope. I mean, those guys are supposed to be impartial to outside sort of external influences and pressures like that. Um, but they're human beings just like the rest of us. You would think it has to be sort of at least in the back of their minds, especially while they're calling the game.
And if they can build up a real frenzy, then the referee's wife or the referee's side judge's husband,
Mm-hmm.
might be in their ear talking about what they're reading about the Super Bowl because their spouse is now working the Super Bowl. So, I think all those side storylines are important for the game. I think that they help extend the fan base and really increase the revenues of the NFL. So certainly important to the NFL to have as many storylines and as many different audiences tied to each of those individual storylines as possible.
And one of the biggest criticisms about the Taylor Swift involvement in, especially during the regular season, was the fact that people who had never watched an NFL game before were now tuning in because they might show a brief glimpse of Taylor Swift at a Chiefs game. Um,
Yeah.
which again, it goes back to that idea of revenue generation by the league. Sure, it benefits them right now. I mean, I can't think of a bigger media star right now than Taylor Swift. Um, but there's a lot of pushback from football fans, who are claiming that this is like detracting from the game somehow. Even though it's like, her appearing on screen during a Chiefs game is probably anywhere between 60 to 90 seconds of a 3.5 hour game. Um, I mean, do you think that is sort of a warranted reaction, or do you think it's just this sort of, anytime some outside group seems to encroach on an established group of fans of something, there always seems to be pushback, and for no other reason than like, well, this is ours. It has been ours. We don't want any, new people in here because, they're going to quote unquote ruin it. I mean, what do you think?
I think, hey, this is my $20 beer. You're not allowed to have a $20 beer. This is my $20 beer. No, it's kind of endearing to see her warming up to Kelce's family, to, a potential sister-in-law, potential brother-in-law, potential mother-in-law. And I think the Kels mom is she seems like a nice lady. So I did read an article recently that the father says that she's keeping it pretty real. She seems like a fairly normal person for a spoiled rich girl. So I think it's nice to be able to glimpse into that window and see sort of the person behind the persona. But that said, I do think that we're at a saturation point with them, and I think that's where a lot of the frustration is from. Is just people are like, okay, yeah, you know what? Especially the fans that, like you say, that have been around for a long time. Like,
Yeah.
yeah, we get it. Enough. We know that he's a superstar of his own right, that he's a terrific, gold jacket Hall of Fame tight end, most likely. I find it hard to believe that he wouldn't be in the Hall of Fame. But perhaps it's time for the two of them to settle down and retire, and we never have to talk about him again.
Touch on a very sort of salient point about the fact that it's oversaturation. Uh, and the league really playing it up. I understand why they do it, but I think they overdid it. Which I think,
Well,
as
that's
you
what
say, yeah, go ahead.
they have a habit of that. They have a habit of overdoing it, right?
No, never. This is the first time that's ever happened, Scott.
Yeah, I mean that's part of it. Push it until it's oversaturated, and then move on to the next thing. It's really it's a savage way to approach consumption, and
Yeah,
that's why a lot of people get spun out and just exhausted after a while from the machine that is big media.
yeah, I agree.